Hey folks, Bobcat here in the Main Street Farms Kitchen. Today we're talking about one of my favorite fall meals or side dishes, roasted veggies or roasted roots. It's a great way to use up a lot of the fall veggies. I primarily do it with beets and carrots, turnips, onions, potatoes, garlic, but you can really put in almost any veggies mixed in with them. So we're going to talk about a few things. One, to me, cooking is not an exact science. I experiment every time I cook, and every time you get a little bit better and better. So don't be discouraged if at first you try it and it didn't come out the way you wanted. Keep trying. There's lots of different ways to do it. So we'll talk about some of the veggies and how we chop them. So obviously carrots, one of the big ones, chop the ends off. I mean, a lot of this you guys know by now. I like to save my scraps for veggie broth. We can talk about that later. Maybe we'll even make a video on it. So I cut the carrot in half. Sometimes I even cut them in quarters and chop, chop, chop. Remember, the thinner you cut them, the quicker they'll cook. But the flip side is, then you run the risk of overcooking them. So if you like crispy veggies, then smaller is better. If you like your veggies to be a little bit more firm, then cut them bigger. So yeah, beets, same thing. We cut the ends off. We'll save that for our veggie broth. And you know, sometimes I leave them whole like that. Sometimes I'll cut them in half again. And then, you know, shapes and sizes depend. It's all a matter of taste. It's up to you whether you want them big or little. Potato, very similar to the beet. We'll just fly through these quickly. Onion. You could even save the onion peels for veggie broth, and it'll make great soup later in the winter. You can just throw them in a Ziploc bag or in a Tupperware, throw them in your freezer, throw them in the back of your fridge, get to them later, just boil them in some water. The onions I like to keep big. I just cut it in half and then quarter it, and they just kind of come apart naturally. Garlic. I love my garlic. I just chop my end off. I'll smash it to get the skin off, and I'll just leave it as is. I won't even cut that. I think garlic, chunky garlic roasted, delicious. Fennel's a good one. Chop the end off, and then I just go right in the cheese grater. That little side part that does the slicing, just make sure you don't slice your hand off. And yeah, it makes these nice little pieces. And the fennel goes really great with roasted potatoes and onion and garlic. It's pretty good on its own, or you can mix it in with all the other veggies. I even throw in a curry turnip in there, or pretty soon we'll have purple top turnips, and you throw that in there too. And let's see what else we got here. Acorn squash. I like to do these little kind of wedges, because not everybody likes to eat the skin on them. A lot of people take the skin off. And I think instead of cutting the skin, sometimes it's easier to just cook them like that, and then they're easy to pick out and just eat them right off the skin. Sometimes I'll even go in half on that. And then some herb of choice, you know. It could be dill, parsley, cilantro, sage, thyme, basil, whatever you got around. Those go good with all these veggies as well. So now that we got everything chopped and prepped, we'll talk a little bit about how we put it all together. So I start with a little bit of oil on the pan. This is sunflower oil. Sometimes I use olive oil. So the simplest one, I just like beets and carrots on their own. They're so good. It's like nature's candy. Sometimes if you want to kick it up a notch, throw a little garlic and onion in there. Sometimes I'll even throw a little potato in there. And then this one we're going to do a little bit of everything but the kitchen sink. So again, a little oil. I like to get those acorn squash on there first, make sure they're flat. And then I'll pretty much just throw everything in there. A whole lot of veggie medley. All right, you guys get the point. And then top it with a little bit of dill. Throw a little bit more beets and carrots in there. And then if you want to keep it simple, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of salt. I personally, you know, I'm Italian, so I can never get enough garlic. I use garlic powder, even though we already put garlic in there. If you want to get a little crazy, I use stuff like chili powder, paprika, curry powder. I'll put a little bit more oil on there, make sure those things are coated up well. I'll grab my spatula, and just kind of give them a quick little, if you really want to get into it, you do it in a bowl first, mix it in the bowl, and you get all those oils and seasonings in there, and then you can use the bowl for a salad. That's what I like to do. So once you get it all mixed up, I give it a little bit of a shake. We're gonna go over to our oven here, preheated at 400. I usually cook them for about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on, again, how much you like your veggies cooked. How about this, a little movie magic. We've been cooking for about 25, 30 minutes. They look pretty delicious. Yeah, good stuff. Enjoy.